out for the next couple of games, we believe. I don't know how long it is, but they're saying it's weeks. So the injury got internationally. Another one who's been injury prone this season. We've just spoken on Gabriel. Ben White and Jurrien Timber are huge question marks for the next couple of games. Some are suggesting Timber might be okay and it's just a knock. Others are suggesting that Ben White was a niggle. I hope that they're right with those two, man. Let's assume that these are all out of the next game. Let's not look towards Real Madrid yet, right? Let's assume they've all got to miss the Everton game. What the hell do we do at the back, bruv?
I mean, this is where Arteta's paid 15 million a year, innit? I'm happy I'm not him. As you said there, what the hell do we do at the back? I think Arteta will probably play Zinchenko because I think he'll play Kivior and Zinchenko because they kind of mimic, like they're the easiest changes to make and still kind of play the same way. Me personally, if we you said it, assume everyone's not available. So I'll go Tierney left back, Kivior and Saliba. Obviously, Raya right back is it's going to have to be Thomas Partey, innit? There's no random young player we could throw in there. It's going to have to be Thomas Partey right back. And obviously, that's a knock-on effect in midfield. I mean, Christian said it in the comments. You could throw Nichols in there. I don't think he's going to do that Everton away. I mean, Everton away is not the game we're all looking to. We're all eyes and ears on Real Madrid, but that's a difficult test, man. They're unbeaten in the last 8-9 games. Well, they had their first defeat in the last 8-9 games. Very unlucky against Liverpool. Moyes has turned it around. And me and you both know Saturday, midday, what to expect. It's one of those games where the fans are going to live and breathe every kick. We're going to have a shift defensively. So, yeah, it's a madness, man. But, yeah, to answer your question, I think Lewis Skelly, we got to be a bit cute and clever. He looked a bit leggy. I would actually put Tierney, Kivior, Saliba. You're just going to have to get us through that. And it's going to have to be Partey right back. Unless he does something left field, like Tierney goes right back. Because I remember against PSG, he did put Calafiori at a point in the game right back. Obviously, Calafiori's not there, but Arteta's got to be considering that. But it's makeshift at best, bro. It's makeshift at best.
Bro, my question to you was going to be, do we play Tierney and Lewis Skelly as the fullbacks? There's a serious question mark there.
That as well.
I mean, look, I think Partey's going to go right back. I don't really care about this Everton game. A lot of people have said to me, we've got to win it. We've got to keep I want to win it for momentum, but I'm not absolutely adamant using the absolute full strength side to make sure we get 3 points because I want the Real Madrid game over this Everton game. So it wouldn't really bother me who lines up as long as we are ensuring that people are fit for that Real Madrid game. So personally, I don't want to see Timber and White, even if they are fit, because I'd rather them be fit for the Tuesday night as I would for Saturday. I don't want to slog them and then they go and get a knock again and then they're out of the Real Madrid game. Thomas Partey at right back is an absolute disaster against Real Madrid. That cannot happen, bro.
Him against Vinicius, madness.
Imagine that. Vinny Jr. against Partey. It'll be about
all the best Partey, man, but damn.
Do you know what I'm saying? So I think, look, we'll do it against Everton. I don't think Everton are that sort of team. They're going to come and sit in a low block. David Moyes is going to try and outsmart Mikel again. It's going to be a difficult game. I actually think we'll drop points, and I do believe it will probably be a draw, right? Or if we win, it will be a 1-0. For me, when I look at the scenario at the back now, Saliba, unfortunately, as much as people want to rest him, we can't. We've literally got nobody else at the back at centre-back. Kivior will play because he has to. Left-back's a question mark because we've got about 4 of them. Zinchenko, Miles Lewis-Skelly, Kieran Tierney. Obviously, the right back, we haven't got many, but there is an option that Timber could play because obviously he's back from his knock. But I would be really pissed off if that happens. So I think I'll probably go with Partey and bring Jorginho into midfield with Rice, bruv, if I'm honest with you. What are you saying?
I mean, let's needs must, innit? We ain't got the biggest squad. We've got to do that. I'd imagine. I actually think White will be there against Everton. How many minutes he gets, I don't know. You know, for me, I'd like to see him get, if any, 20, 30, just get some minutes in the legs. Maybe Timber the same. It's you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, man. And it goes. I was watching your stream yesterday, actually, when you had all the guys there, and it big up DJB. I think he said what all of us fans feel in that. You just can't help but look back to the summer. I know you can't always look in the past, but you just can't help but look in the summer where we didn't probably bring in enough level raises to our starting 11. We didn't improve on our depth. We did get some good sales, but we didn't replace the bodies. And we known for the last couple of years, we want to be a team that's competing in 4 trophies. And Mikel Arteta keeps saying we've got a squad of 19. When you look through that 19, who would you really say is durable? Fair enough, Partey, it's been a unicorn of a season. He hasn't really been injured and he's been quite good. But you probably would sit there in August and think Partey's picking up knocks, Zinchenko's picking up knocks, Gabriel Jesus is picking up knocks. You're not going to see too much of Tomiyasu. I love Tierney, but him as well. So we really need, it's one where I want Berta and Mikel Arteta and all of these guys to really, really have a moment of reflection going into next season, because I'm getting kind of tired of moaning about the same things, and I'm sure all the fans are, because at some point, how far does it go? Is it unluck or is it incompetence as a football club? If me and you as armchair experts and people in the chat are saying this, then what are they doing? Because they know about football more than us. And I have no doubt that they've tried and this and that, but there's also the other side. Did you do it or not? And we didn't. How many times are we going to see this? We've got so many things we could learn from. We've seen what one injury could do for us with Saliba in 2022-23. We've seen, obviously, Rodri and the absence of City. We've seen, I can't remember the year, but I'm sure Liverpool had massive injuries and they kind of fell off a cliff. And obviously, Mikel Arteta has seen it himself at Arsenal, and he's seen it himself in his previous job at City. I know there's not just one single person to blame, but we really need to stop having these things crippling our season, because it's another year, Daniel, for me. I just think we've shot ourselves in the foot. Credit to Liverpool, credit to City the other years, but I just feel we haven't really controlled the controllables as a club, man. And it's another year of explaining, unfortunately, man.
It is, bro. And Mikel Arteta is doing his best to try and explain. I wanted to ask you on his comments here, because he's obviously been speaking about the injuries at the club, and a lot of people are giving him the kind of blame and saying it's all on Mikel, etc., etc. He says that on the injuries, it's been like this the whole season. Martinelli's missed 3 months. Saka has missed 4 months. Havertz has missed 4 months. Jesus has missed almost the whole season. How we've managed to be where we are with all those injuries is crazy. He said that more than once now, to be honest, and I think that was a quote that he made. I'm expecting to make one similar when he does his press conference soon. I will say this. I actually do believe Arteta has to take a little bit of an L here. There's no way you can have in your squad 3 players with hamstring injuries with the muscle off the bone. That to me means they're either overworked, overplayed, or a little bit of both. The high intensity training that we're told of and that we don't know about, people say it happens. I don't know that that is the case, but certainly if it is the case, then it wouldn't help the scenario. Do you put a little bit of blame on Mikel, or do you think that it's a little bit of bad luck? Do you think the injuries have been kind of coincidence to any of our sort of training methods, or do you question any of that, or do you just think it's been solely bad luck this season that Arsenal have had this amount of injuries long term?
I think it's Arteta. I think it's the medical staff. I think it goes back to the recruitment front where everybody has to play a part. I don't think there's one single aspect you can blame. I just think it's if it was a cocktail, it's different ingredients, really. Like, again, like you said there, the 3 hamstring injuries. Now, I have no doubt Arsenal obviously don't want people to get injured, doing their best in terms of rehab, etc., etc. But the 3 hamstring tears, to us, not normal fans, we've been saying about this for a number of years. There's no coincidence. Kai Havertz, Martinelli, Bukayo Saka, and actually Gabriel Magalhaes, like, these lot have played a lot of football. They've quote unquote been ran into the ground. And it sounds mad to say, and I don't want anyone to misquote me, but it feels like we're kind of, a lot of the players that have been injured, we've kind of been owed this, because we've spoken, even with Ben White, we've heard this before, kind of thing. Even with Timber, the amount of football he has played coming back from an ACL, credit to Timber and needs must. But I'm sure if you were to ask Timber, Mikel Arteta and the coach and the medical staff, they would say he's probably played too much football. The training thing is a double-edged sword, because I am of the belief of you train the way you need to play. Of course, you got to be a bit cute and clever. And to be fair to Mikel Arteta, he's also equally said, because of the fixture calendar list, we haven't been able to train. And when you're not training, there's a risk of muscle injuries. But that's why, for me, it comes back to the depth. And I know Mikel Arteta keeps talking about the fact that we're still second with all of these injuries, and he is right in that regards. But then also, how far does that go? That we know we're a good team, we know we can we respond to adversity. But then there's the other thing, like we were told in May, we're not resting on our laurels. Is the most exciting thing young players coming from the academy, and we've been courageous and still finished second? I'm not too sure. I just think it's a bit of everything. No 2 seasons are alike, but again, last season, we've missed 3 key players. Partey only really played towards the end of the running. Timber, God knows how much we would rate him even more if he was able to play. And again, Tomiyasu is there. So I don't think it's one singular point to blame. I think when you fail on the recruitment front for all of the club, and then you've got Mikel Arteta, who, on one hand, I am not as aggressive on rotation as some fans. I think there has to be a correlation with playing the same team, getting them knowing each other's game and the system and all of that. And also this is the belly of the beast. But then at the same time, there is a wider conversation to be said about player welfare. You see it as well as me, because we talk about football day in, day out. You're seeing the Champions League extended to the point where every game's kind of a must win, kind of what Kenny Ken says. You're seeing the club championship, if we was in it in the summer. You're seeing many international breaks as well. This season's been mad, but think about the previous 2 years for a lot of these players as well. And I'll be honest, when Gabriel Magalhaes got injured, just naturally because of Martinelli's, Havertz's, Saka's, the more durable players, being at the game, the first thing I did, I don't know why, but I looked at William Saliba and I looked at Declan Rice, because God forbid, but you're the next 2 I'm kind of thinking about. So it's a mixture of everything. And again, I'm no expert, but there's also been times where maybe this doesn't make sense, but there's been times where we've won games and maybe Saka or Magalhaes or whatever could have been subbed. You rest someone for 10 minutes here, 20 minutes there, 30, whatever have you, over a 5-10 game period. And before you know it, the makeup is they've missed 90. They've technically been saved for a 90-minute game. And we're also, it goes back to the recruitment, bro, in that there's too much of a drop-off. Like, there's been times where you would love to see a Benjamin White, a Gabriel Magalhaes, a Saliba rested, but then you're going from Gabriel Magalhaes to Kivior. Now, I'm not saying everybody needs to be at Gabriel's level, but clearly Mikel Arteta, he did buy Kivior, but clearly he doesn't trust everybody in this squad. So it's a mixture of things, Dan, man. It's a mixture of things. I don't think there's one singular point, but here we are, man.
I don't think there is one thing. However, I do think there's been a definite question mark over Mikel Arteta's playing time of some of these players 100%. And the lack of trust the squad. When Gabriel's playing in the 7-1 victory against PSV, and then he's playing in the next we're 7-1 up. When Saka's coming on against Bolton and Preston, and who else was it? Lons last season. I'm thinking, what are we doing this for, man? Like, we do not need to be playing these guys, man. So that's where I'm at. Suj, big up for the super chat. It says, big up Dan, DG, and the community. Hit the like and subscribe. Yeah, let's make sure we do that, please, people. Let's make sure we're following Deluded as well. And we're hitting like and subscribe over here. We've only got 58 of you hit the like, and there's well over 300 of you near. So please make sure that you hit the like button, people, because you're forgetting to do it, and it means so much. Before we start, all the best, KDB. He will go down as one of the league's greatest. Respect. Yeah, we're going to come on to that in a minute, actually, about KDB and some of the players that could be leaving this summer and some of the rebuild that Arsenal are being linked with and kind of some of those players. But big up to KDB because he has been an unbelievable player. So absolutely, yeah, he is a Premier League legend without a doubt. I got sent this today by someone who we were discussing what was kind of looking towards Mikel Arteta's problems at playing or overplaying players, comparisons to Liverpool and to Manchester City. Apparently, people are saying Arteta's running his players into the ground. This guy thinks it's typical, nonsensical, non-data-backed bullshit you hear on this app. 80% of Arsenal, City and Liverpool minutes are distributed between 12 to 13 players. The game distribution is almost exactly the same between the three clubs, but people are blaming Arteta. If you look at Manchester City here, they've got Vardiol, Haaland, Bernardo Silva, Rico Lewis, Foden, Gundogan, Savio, Kanji, Diaz, Kovacic, Nunez, De Bruyne, and Doku that have all played the most amount of minutes, and a similarity to Arsenal. There's no difference between what Arsenal were doing to Manchester City according to this tweet. Saliba, Gabriel, Rice, Timber, Partey, Havertz, Trossard, Martinelli and Ødegaard have all played the most minutes. Ødegaard towards the back of that list, Saka towards the back of that list, and obviously Ben White towards the back of that list. What it doesn't do, however, and to give some kind of narrative to this and some more context, this is just this season. So it does not come into play the previous 2 or 3 seasons. Now, some of those Manchester City players have not been slogged like Bukayo Saka has in the last 2 or 3 seasons. That's just fact. Likewise,
Saka's going to play less as well because he's been injured for 3 months.
Precisely. And this is what I mean. Like, this is all well and good for this season. You can make a claim that Liverpool are in the same position. Look, Van Dijk has played every minute. So has Salah. So has Gravenberch, McAllister, Szoboszlai, Robertson, Diaz. There's a few, right? Then it goes from Trent to Konaté downwards to who's missed the games or who's not played as much. If you look at what that's done with Arsenal, the players that have not played as much are obviously the players that he does not trust. Now, Tomiyasu's been injured. Yeah. Cabby a kid. Heaven's now gone. Maldini's now been put on loan. Jack Porter's a 4th choice keeper. And Nichols has obviously got, with Jack, those games in the Carabao Cup. You've then got Kieran Tierney and Zinchenko and Sterling who aren't wanted or trusted. Ben White, who's been injured. Kivior, who's not trusted. Wanieri, who's a kiddie we should have trusted earlier than now. Jesus, who's crocked. Jorginho, he doesn't seem to trust for other than a couple of minutes here and there. Calafiori, who's been injury prone. Lewis Skelly, who's now trusted. Saka, who's been injured. Marino, who's been injured, but he's now starting to use as more of a striker. You've got Ødegaard, who's dropped off but has been injured. Martinelli's just come back from a hammy. Trossard's in and out of the team every week. Havertz has now been overplayed and has now got a hamstring problem. Thomas Partey, funnily enough, who's actually our 4th most played player this season, who
crazy, isn't it?
Never thought we would have said that. Yeah. Timber, who's come back from ACL, as you've mentioned, how the hell is he still playing? Declan Rice and Saliba. Now, I said the next 3 to be crocked will be Timber, Rice and Saliba if we're not careful. And that's not just on this season. That's on the last few seasons, yeah, because Timber has come back from an ACL and has played way too many. Yeah, so we need to be careful with him. But Rice and Saliba have been absolutely flogged and slogged, haven't they, in terms of how many minutes they're playing. So I don't look at this graph and think, yeah, Manchester City and Liverpool are doing the same thing, because I've a look at the minutes that they've played across the squad depth that they've had, Manchester City and Liverpool. It ain't the squad depth of Arsenal. So Mikel Arteta might be doing similarly in terms of his first 12 to 13 players, but the squad players of Manchester City and Liverpool have been able to come in and do a lot better, i.e. Quansah instead of Kivior, or Joe Gomez instead of having to play Partey at right back, yeah? Or you've got the likes of Gakpo, who's coming in, of Darwin Nunez, who's coming in, of Harvey Elliott that's coming in. These are the players that are coming into us. We're linked with Sterling sitting on the bench, not trusted. Before that, the season, it was Nelson and Vieira who weren't trusted. Yeah, the only real two players I can say that he's used squad-wise has been Eddie Nketiah and Jorginho in the last few years, like consistently, and maybe Trossard. Other than that, they've got a lot more in terms of their squad rotation. So I think as much as that graph is probably true for this season, it doesn't look at the last 3 years of where Ben White has been absolutely slogged and has now been...
Doesn't lie, but doesn't paint the whole picture really and truly. That's like everybody's got to take some accountability. That almost absolves Mikel Arteta of everything. Cool. We can talk about maybe the players are doing something differently in terms of rehab. There probably is an element of bad luck. Obviously, it comes back to the recruitment in which Mikel Arteta plays a major hand, but at the end of the day, he doesn't sign off at the checkbook. So he has to take, and so there's that as well. But then there's also the element of what Dan is referring to in that there's Liverpool have a small squad like us, but Arne Slot is going to trust those players a bit more, or maybe they've done something in terms of rehab a bit better. City the same, even though they've been dealt a harsh hand. It doesn't lie, but it doesn't tell the truth. Dan, it's not being fair, is it? Really and truly, like no two seasons are alike. But the last 3 years we have had injuries, and again, I do think Mikel Arteta knows this, because he said, rightly or wrongly, the best players for club and country are going to play 70 odd. Kevin De Bruyne is obviously leaving City. We'll get onto him, but he's played a hell of a lot of football since he's been in the Prem. Salah isn't going to stop playing football anytime soon, and he's played the majority. It is going to happen. As I said earlier, there's a wider discussion to be said about player welfare and the amount of games for club and country, but we have to adapt. Even without that, if you were to ask this guy, do we have enough depth? No, we don't. If there was one area that we were kind of comfortable with the whole team, it would have probably been our defensive ranks, right? That's being stress tested really the whole season as well. We don't have enough depth. And regardless, Mikel Arteta says this about 3-4 times last year. He said we've got one of the smallest squads in the league. We've all watched the All or Nothing, and we see the board where it's got the player depth and all of that. We're armchair experts. They defo know this. And I'm not saying they're not trying. But at the end of the day, there's trying and there's doing. And I am not at London Coley. I don't know what you tried to do. Maybe if me and Dan were flies on the wall, we'd have a bit of a different opinion. We can only look at what's happening. And this was coming at some point. We knew at some point. We've all, going back a few years ago, we've all watched that Rob Holding interview where he spoke about Benjamin White running his knee into the ground for the team and the hamstring and whatnot. We've been speaking about Bukayo Saka. We've been speaking about Odegaard. We've been speaking about Kai Havertz. We all even said that, again, we're armchair experts, but we all remember the Wolves game where we saw Kai Havertz. We're like, oh, what's going on there? And it was predictable. And the summer is one thing. January, bro, like it's all coulda, woulda, shoulda, and where we're at now. But it's incredibly naive. Yeah, you can tell me you're keeping the powder dry and you're doing all of this sort of stuff, but at the end of the day, if that's what you're gonna do, you're gonna have to live or die by this. And I don't want to sound like I know it all, but how predictable was it? As soon as that January window closed, more men were gonna get injured. Like injuries can happen at any possible time. Had we have had the summer we needed in terms of quality and depth, and the same thing happened, of course we would need to look back at like maybe what we're doing in terms of rehab, etc., etc. Maybe there's something with the fact that these players were getting a bit of a rest in the Europa League in the last 2 years, including now. Every game kind of counts. But if we had the summer we needed to have done, I think many Arsenal fans would say, you know what, now we're unlucky. You've put your best foot forward. There has been depth. You have got more numbers. Things happen in it. But this is in spite of everything. It's crazy.
Bro, it is crazy. And I've got to be honest, it's something that worries me. And I look at the scenario of players that need to stay fit, and I would not argue that every single squad would say we need a fit squad. Arsenal needed a fit squad. Now, when we got to January, I thought, yeah, do you know what? Because we haven't got a fit squad, we're going to go strengthen. We were told nobody was available. Well, midweek, Marmoush scored. He was a January signing. Donnell Marlon scored from Villa. So did Asensio. So did
Rashford. Desperate,
all brought in January, bro. And we were told there was no one available. Man, it's crazy. Big up to Ben and Gooner every single time. We've got 490.
Said he can't stand me. Hi, Ben and Gooner.
I'm out. Can't stand this guy. Oh, man. What? There's me thinking he's just
it's calm, man. It's calm. I'll have that, man. Like,
man, I get that.
Friday night, you're saying that on the screen, behind the PC. That's crazy. But yeah, big him up, man. We fight hate with love. He loves me really, man.
What I should do really is read the full comment before I put it up on the
It's
screen.
calm, man. Opinions
Sorry,
are
bro.
opinions. Like, no, it's mine. I was at the Emirates and like obviously Bukayo Saka came out and someone was just I don't even think there was an Arsenal fan. Everyone was showing Bukayo Saka love, and some people were screaming Bukayo Saka in absolute ways, man. So it comes with the territory, man. Like
So weird, man. It's so weird, bro. I don't get it. But listen,
it's crazy.